Hi there, everyone. Just wanted to speak to you about consciousness and a little bit of my testimony of how God has helped me. So, what I wanted to start with is why consciousness is self. So, you are your consciousness anyway, but this I realise that is an aspect that needs to grow and be nurtured. It helps you realise your mistakes, it helps you recognise the things in this world that lead you to sin, lead you to live not your true life, true essence of who you are. I did this by looking at what had happened in my life. So everything that had happened, I looked at that, and then I could see the things that I'd done, and also the impact that others were having on me. And even most of this, leads to sin in some way, shape or form. None of us are sinless. That's when I came to Jesus Christ, because I had that awareness. Prior to that, I didn't have that awareness, not that I've got now. So every time you have a need, generally what I did is ask why I had that need. What was I seeking? What did I really need? Because this world tries to keep you in want. That's the other thing. It tries to keep you in that wanting continuously. And most things we don't actually need. Like I say, it is born out of want and doesn't lead to any benefit in your life. It hasn't for me. My life was totally stripped down to the core. So life to me is just to be. It's an acceptance. You only need to look at nature to see that. It's not self-seeking. It just is. It's there. It just is. But I think we've been taught in life to seek outside of self. We've been taught to look outside externally, which externally is keeping you from the internal truth. So that's when, if you suffer trauma or anything like that, your growth can become stunted because of the trauma. When anything happens like that, it stores within you and has to be released at some point, or because your needs aren't being met. You've got a need there that isn't being met in some way, shape or form. Or if somebody's done something to you, or you've been in any situation that's caused any trauma to your body that isn't natural to your true essence. So that's the other thing. I taught through this process, it's teaching not to seek externally, because this is where desires and addictions come from. And when trauma comes up, you have a tendency to seek externally for comfort, for, whether that's you start eating more, turning to drugs, turning to some source to comfort yourself. And although I've always believed in God, I hadn't realised that this is the times like that when I needed more to turn to God for that comfort, for that guidance. So sometimes it's just to sit with those feelings. That's what I did. Sometimes it's just to sit with that feeling that's coming up, and having compassion and understanding. Like I say, we all stumble. And that's the other thing. And I can see this. That's why many times people do things in life without even realising why they do them. why they're doing what they're doing. They're seeking something to ease or fulfill that pain within. And I think we have to face that. I know for years I just kept myself busy. And I had all my coping mechanisms there to help me. Later on, I'll speak about that a little bit later, but everything just crashed down and I had none of those things to rely on or depend upon. And I think that was, I know that was God's way of making me fully turn to God. So they're also due to media, society, current systems that want you to believe that you're not enough. We are enough as we are. You are enough. You don't need, there's nothing external that's going to make your life or make you more than. You are enough as you are. So they've created an ideology that a constant that you need this or you need that your life will somehow become better. It's all marketing and psychology. It creates that keep up with each other and generally makes people think that they're better or worse off, which this creates the system that's currently in place, which is rich, middle class, lower class and poor. None of these are true. We are all the same. Just because somebody has material wealth does not make them superior. We are all equal. We're all the same. All this superior and levels it's an ego. It's definitely ego, and it's in the material world, which when you look at it, it's created divisions, illusions, wars, and it's a driving force behind destruction of humanity and this planet. I no longer look at things in a monetary value. So for instance, my granddaughter loves magazines, absolutely loves them. But, when you look at things, it's a magazine, there's trees being cut down. There's a need for things and there's a want, and it's not a necessity. There's things that aren't a necessity to your life. I think it's just learning to sit and learning to just be in that present moment, just be there and remain there as much as possible. So everything in this life has life flowing through it. Couldn't get my words out. And everything has spirit. Everything has a spirit. You can see that. You only have to look at nature. You can see that it's got life flowing through in every form, every aspect. So I know when I was younger, people tend to associate spirit with personality, but it has many strands, and obviously as your awareness, your consciousness grows, you see that it isn't personality, it's actually spirit. It's the spirit within you that is growing. But this can be shaped by outside factors. Personality can, whereas spirit is true. It's true. But don't be deceived by this world. There's many things in this world that will cause you to sin. So what, a good starting point is with the gospel. So learn the gospel at a young age and don't look up to idols. We've got so many idols out there in media, portraying them as superior, or look at their life, wow. And, probably if you were able to speak to them, they'd be able to tell you the downside of that. So don't look up to idols. Just be you. Because riches are false. It doesn't give you freedom. Not true freedom. It's not the freedom that you see. Freedom for me is being free from all those external factors that keep you chasing your tail, so to speak, keep you chasing all those things. So there's many temptations, deceptions, false teachings that appear harmless and acceptable because they're portrayed in such a way. Something that would have helped me when I was growing up was explaining in this world what isn't of God. I wasn't very academically intelligent. In fact, I was very naive as well. I guess I was blind. It wasn't until I had my awakening that I started to see things differently. Before that, I kept myself busy. I kept myself busy and distracted, following those that surrounded me, not thinking of the consequences of neither my actions or the actions of those towards me. Like I say, it wasn't until I had my awakening, but then I suffered a further traumatic event that took everything on a downward spiral. My life on every level collapsed. My whole world, my whole way of looking at the world, family, work life, health, every area was affected. And that made it worse at that time, because what I did was I connected everything together and believed that all of those things happened because of the truth that had been given in my initial awakening. And I no longer trusted anybody. I had a massive trust issue, and I know where that stemmed from, obviously, because of the trauma when I was younger that started that. I think when we turn and trust people that we should be able to trust in, and they betray us or hurt us and let us down, then that's where the trust issue started. And throughout my life, I've had a lot of people that have let me down. But what I've learned is, and this is one of the main things, to forgive, to just let that go, to forgive all those. I think now I realise I have, because I can talk about that. Prior to this, I'd held it all in. I couldn't let it out. I struggled to express and let that out. It caused a massive trust issue within me. And what didn't help is the people that surrounded me at that time were further antagonising me. My body had gone into shutdown, but I was on this high, like an high alert of everything was a threat to me. Everything became a threat. I connected things that weren't right, weren't true. And it was unravelling. You end up having to unravel all of this story that's happened. And the difficulty is, throughout that, I connected dots and put two and two together and came up with 5. But yeah, it's a difficult journey, but one worth taking. So at this point, when all this happened, I started to see things differently. And I was reacting out of instincts and put up all my defences, but at the same time, like I say, my body was shutting down. I could no longer cope at all. My coping mechanisms were blown. My body had become overloaded with trauma. Stress and everything became that threat. Absolutely everything. I already believed in God and Jesus, but didn't and hadn't lived my life the way the Lord had wanted me to. I didn't see that, like I say. I was very naive. All I know is my faith in God was tested at this point, very much so. But the insight I had been given on my awakening, that now became, although it was a struggle, it became my focus. And I became aware of the lie that I was living. Prior to that, I was just going through life, living that lie of sins, abuse, being abused. I'd suffered throughout my life, and that I knew at that point something was happening. I just didn't fully understand it. I later now realised that he'd saved me. I'd been saved. I'd been saved from the lie, from the life that wasn't true. The difficulty was now the life that I'd lived and the life that I was being taken towards. It was a massive gap between those, and it was dividing each area. So taking the old and accepting the new, at the same time, with the information that I'm being given on my awakening, it was a struggle because I didn't fully understand it. I didn't understand that information. What I do know today is I serve God, and I don't serve money, and I certainly am not here to please man. I serve God, and I'm here. I'm here because of him. He's helped me through so much. I've gone through so many struggles in my life. There's things that have happened throughout my life. I had a relative that passed away many years ago. And at the time, I always remember, it was early hours of the morning. I'd had a friend that had visited, who'd just left. And it wasn't long after, I had what I can only describe as a fluid that filled my body. It felt amazing. I was filled with so much energy. I stood up at the time, and it was like I was racing round in the room. I was just going round. And as I turned, I saw an angel, and I knew that this angel was an angel of death, to do with death, and I started to panic and sat down. As I sat down, the fluid, it started releasing. So this fluid started releasing. I presumed I was dying, so the automatic response was to phone the emergency services. I phoned them. They thought I'd had a panic attack. Anyway, they took me to hospital, and it wasn't until the following day that my mum phoned me and explained that a relative of mine had died, and I asked her, could you find out what time Arthur had died? She did, and at the time that Arthur had died was around the time when I'd seen this angel, which was a massive thing for me. It impacted on my life, but there's been many things that the Lord has helped me with. I've not always recognised that. It's recognising that now. So, yeah, it's not, this journey it wasn't an overnight thing, although there's times when I've had illuminating moments, things that have happened that have caused that change quickly. But it's a continual journey. But when it got broken to the foundation, I turned to God so much. I turned to the Lord so much to help me. And if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have got through the time that I did. I wouldn't. And he continues to help me on this journey. So anybody out there that doesn't believe or are unsure, hopefully you won't have any darkness or storms in your life. I know we've all got storm right now, but turn that over to God. Turn that over to God and put your trust in Almighty God, and let the Lord and Jesus Christ help you. Because the Lord doesn't let anybody down that turns to him. He will help you. Might not always be in the way that you expect. It hasn't been in my life. It wasn't the way I expected. But I know that he's been helping me. So I've learnt to forgive others. I've learnt to forgive others, and that was one of my realizations, that, you know, you're able to talk about those things, letting those things out. And I've learnt to forgive myself as well. Life isn't easy, you know. It has its ups and downs, it has its struggles. So it's just letting that go and accepting that we are going to make mistakes. Because I was stuck in an area where I was scared to make any decisions for my life. I wasn't able to. My body had totally shut down. And like I say, everything was a threat to me. I was very isolated. I lost a lot of people through all of this. But it's when that's something else, when your life comes crashing down, when everything around you, when everything crashes down, you realise who's truly there for you. And for me, that was God, because everybody that I turned to, there was no love there. That's how it felt. But I see that this world has become hardened. It hardens people. Even I'd got to that stage. I think that's why I'd gone through life doing what I did, and just being how I was, because I was hardened. And whether that's something that has to happen or not, I don't know. All I know is I'm learning to open back up again. So it's opening back up, and then, you know, growing, becoming more of the true essence of who I'm meant to be, who we're meant to be. And no longer chase things of this world. Not at all. I can see that at times, like, I'd go shopping for clothes and it was just a fix. It's a quick fix. I didn't always do it out of need. It was definitely out of, there was something inside of me that needed to be comforted, or, you know, and there were things that I did, and I can see that wasn't a need. It was seeking outside, externally, seeking for those comforts. But I'm no longer in servitude. I have the right master in my life rather than the wrong master, and seeing things the old way. I now see things a very different way. So yeah, I lost a lot of people, which is sad. It's sad that when things like that happen in your life, that it takes that for you to be able to see that not everybody's true to you, to themselves even. I don't blame them, because I can see that they're too, they're the same. They're in that world of where I used to be. And so yeah, until they kind of cross over that onto the other side, they're not going to see that. They're just going to continue to see the way that they see. And it's very self-seeking. Survival. It's a survival. You attach to things, to others. But none of these things, that's something else I've realised, that none of these things will save you when there's things that happen in your life that cause your life to crash down, cause everything to come to the ground. None of those things saved me, and they neither comforted me no more. I had no comfort in the things that I used to have comfort in. So yeah, I just wanted to get that story out, you know, to maybe help somebody. Hopefully it'll help somebody. And I've always been a very caring, compassionate person. Although I'd been through what I'd been through, I shut off to myself, and I was very caring and compassionate. I had a lot of understanding for others, probably because of what I'd been through. So yeah, life experience, although I want academically, it's life experience, and I think life experience is the most important thing. It will help you and get you through things. But yeah, I hope you have a really blessed day, and anybody out there, turn to the Lord, because the Lord will help you. Thank you for watching. Bye.